Hello and welcome to Comedy in a Nutshell. I'm your host Mark DeCono, and each episode I sit down with a comedian to get past the punchlines and into the reasons behind them. What comedy gives, what it takes, and why do people keep coming back for one more laugh? Same question each time, different answer every episode. I'm the comedy nerd who's seen more than 2,000 different comedians perform live comedy, and you can find out more about my journey in comedy fandom on my website, thecomedynerd.com. Please also take a moment to like, subscribe, rate, review, and share the podcast. Thank you. My guest this episode is a Welsh comedian from Pontypridd who brings dry delivery, surreal detail, and brilliantly observed stories from South Wales to the stage. He broke through by winning the BBC New Comedy Award in 2024, impressing the judges with material rooted in working class life and offbeat comic characters from the valleys. Since then, he's been shortlisted for the Sean Lock Comedy Award and has built a reputation as a comic with a deadpan, understated style. It's comedian Paul Hilleard. So starting all the way back then at the beginning when you were growing up, was comedy very influential on you back then?
I mean, I like to make people laugh, innit? I was listening to some of your other podcasts and people talking about how they knew they wanted to be a stand-up from like the age of 6 and stuff like that. I didn't know you could be a stand-up. I'll be honest, I didn't know you could be a stand-up comedian until I was like in university. So like the idea of like making people laugh, I would do that with my mates, you know, in school and like in drama class when we would have to improv certain things. So I was always like very much, if I'm socializing or chatting to people, it's like, how can we make this funny? But I never thought of it as a career until I ended up going to like university, joining the comedy society. Actually, I went to like an open mic in Cardiff in Goody Who, a venue that's not there anymore. Mm-hmm. And the MC on stage was like doing crowd work on me. Something about Pokemon mm-hmm. Go was happening and something. And I was like, I don't know what Pokemon Go is. And then someone from behind in the audience started heckling me, going, "What do you mean you don't know what Pokemon Go is?" And I said, "Because I'm not a virgin." That just popped out of my mouth, and I got a laugh. And like the MC was like, "Oh, you should try comedy if you want to do that." And I was like, it never occurred to me that you could, you know. I just remember being on school buses, quoting Lee Evans and quoting South Park with my mates at the back of the bus, and just doing impressions of funnier people. Yeah. And you know, I was never the funniest person. My mate George Williams was the funniest person. Like he was just hilarious. But yeah, I don't know. I guess wanting to be funny was always there. But no one, like, I didn't know any stand-up comics growing up in the valleys. Like you don't even have a comedy club. Like if you look at South Wales, we've only got the Glee and the new Problematic podcast club that they built in Swansea. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like everyone wants to have fun, everyone wants to have a laugh growing up, but you don't think of it as a career. Yeah. Even now, I don't really think of it as a career. I'm just like trying to figure out how do I turn this into, you know. So yeah, you just make people laugh. Also, like with my family, like that's one emotion we all shared. Taking a piss out of each other, having a laugh. Around Christmas time, I would do little shows. I remember I liked performing. Yeah. Like I think a lot of maybe the babies of the family, like I'm the youngest of my family, is like, oh yeah, get up, sing a song for your grandparents at Christmas time. Or I remember doing impressions of like Bo Selector characters one Christmas, which, you know, is a bit problematic now, but it's also like making your family laugh whilst pretending to be Michael Jackson. Yeah. And you're like 14 years old and they're all on the piss, you know. So I guess like that thrill of like getting a reaction from an audience has always been there. And I did a bit of drama in secondary school, like from the time I was 14 to 16, I was part of like the local dramatics club. But yeah, the idea of like being a stand-up, it was just, I just didn't know how it happened. Like most people, I think most people are very confused. And they're like, how do you get into that? Like, and once you've been doing it, you just go to an open mic and you're just like, what?
Yeah.
Because most people's, and this was my impression of stand-up, was seeing like Eddie Murphy or Lee Evans or Peter Kay, and you're like, they're in a massive room.
Yeah.
Do they just walk on? Like, how do you get there? No one really goes to these like smelly back rooms in pubs and cafes, basements. You're like, what the fuck is this? Where everyone's just a comic.
Yeah.
It's like, this isn't the top of the tower. This isn't Blackpool, You're just like, so it's very confusing, but yeah. I don't know. Is that good enough answer?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not very good at these sort of things. Like I ramble.
That's something that's come up before about, there's no handbook to how to become a comedian. It just kind of works it out. No one really knows what they're doing. Everything's a bit weird. And when you go on a comedy course, they don't tell you how to book yourself on a spot or anything like that. You don't learn the practicalities of it. So how did you find your way in? What was your first gig and how did that go for you?
Oh, so like I said, I went to that open mic.
Yeah.
People there, I was like, 2 degrees away from knowing them, so friends of friends.
Right.
And then I joined the Cardiff University Society, Comedy Society. And then Chortle, the student competition that happens every year, that came up.
Yeah.
And that was my first gig. I just went and did that. It's online. It's terrible. It's just me just shaking like a shitting dog. Like you can find it on YouTube, man. It's really bad. But it was survival. I'm gripping the mic with both hands. I look a bit like Trent Reznor, from 9 Inch Nails, but I'm trying to tell jokes. I ended up bombing straight away because I was under the impression you didn't have to really think about jokes. I was just like, stray dogs. I can riff on stray dogs and dog shit for 7 minutes. I was under that impression, the delusion, where I was like, I'll just get up. You don't see many stray dogs these days. I thought that was going to kill. It didn't. And I had nothing to fall back on. So I start like, my eyes are darting around this room, looking at all these people. And most of the audience are made up of other comics who are about to go on and do the gig. And I'm sweating, I'm freaking out. And then I just start telling a story because I'm in my students' union about going to the bathroom at a rave, and like I just do this act out of going to the toilet and the bouncer thinking that I'm doing drugs and jumping over and like I was entertaining enough to stay on stage till the light came on. So I did my time, which is what I was most proud of, because I think 2 minutes in, I started looking for the exit, and there was a guy from the Comedy Society in the front row who clearly could tell I was trying to run, and he just like, calm down, chill out, and I was just like, okay, what about if I just talk? I'll just talk for 7 minutes. So yeah, it was terrible. It was a terrible gig. It's probably the worst gig ever. But it taught me a valuable lesson. It's like, yeah, you need to write material, because I went from being like, oh yeah, I was just the funny kid at the back of the bus. I can just be the funny kid at the back of the bus. And you quickly realize it's like, no, none of this. And I didn't have any real guidance, which is kind of fun in a sense. They were just at comedy societies at university. It's mainly the blind leading the blind. Yeah. Like no one really knows what they're doing. We're just showing each other YouTube clips and going, oh, have you seen this special? That's really good. Like we're trying to dissect it. But I think most of comedy societies are just people who want to be comics, but also a lot of people who just want to make friends and don't want to do a sport. And that's brilliant.
But when you go out on stage like that and you, like you say, you do 7 minutes where after 2 minutes, you're looking for the exit, 7 minutes, you're proud you got to the end. How is it that then you walk off stage, you go, I want more of that, and not run for the hills?
I guess it's probably being like, no, I'm better than that. Knowing deep down, you're like, nah, yeah, I was terrible there, but I can make this funny. And wanting to prove, probably to yourself more than anyone, I was like, that can't be it. And then you start putting a bit of work in, and then you start getting good gigs, and then you're like, oh, all right, So this is what happens when I work a bit. Let's keep working a bit. Let's see where it goes. I guess. Yeah, I think it's the embarrassment of it instead of scaring me off. It's like, no. I'm not letting it. I'm not letting that be it. Also, because Steve posts all the clips online, it was like, that's there forever. You can't let it be. You got to come back. You know? Maybe if it was an all right gig, I might have been like, nah, that's okay. Or maybe it's good that it was terrible, or else I wouldn't have got to this point.
So is that a part of the competitive spirit? I mean, I know you're entering a competition at this time, but also then you're competing with yourself to make the next one better, the next one better. Is it a competitive nature? Is that part of being a comedian? Is that you want to exceed or succeed every time?
Yeah, I think comics, especially me, I'm competitive. I'm also very jealous. Just, you know, but I think like we all are, because we just want to succeed. I just want someone to fucking go, you were great, brilliant, here's some money. That's what I want, you know? That's sort of what I want. And yeah, I'm competitive with myself. I try to put it more on myself than push it onto other people, because you know that gets very fucking toxic, and you can't change it. You know, you can try and compete with other people in your head. Also, they're not competing with you; you're just competing with them. The one person you can compete with is yourself. So as long as you're focusing on, okay, making this joke better, okay, I've gone from doing 7 minutes to 10 minutes, or now I'm doing 20 minutes, or now I'm in clubs, brilliant. You're like, track your own progress, fuck everyone else. Because if you want, you can compete with Kevin Hart, you'll never win. You know? Like, it's insane. And it's the same with competing with other comics who are your peers and who are like a bit higher than you. It's like, do it, but also I don't think it's healthy, at least from my own experience that I've come to terms with. It's like, don't do that, Paul. Come on, just focus on your own jokes, you know? Talk about the stray dogs. You know? You've got to be competitive with yourself, or at least hold yourself to a certain standard. Maybe not competitive, but at least be like, no, there's funny in here. I'm going to show it to you. Or, yeah, I guess just holding yourself to a certain standard and respecting your work enough and respecting yourself. But yeah, maybe that could also be seen as competitive, but I think it's more just holding yourself to a standard.
With that in mind, then, how do you feel about competition in general, or awards, or winning, if you like, inverted commas, winning comedy, or winning against, competing against your peers for some sort of title? How do you feel about those sorts of competitions and accolades?
I mean, it sucks, right? Even though we all want them. It sucks because it's nothing worse than like being in a green room before you go out for a competition. If you know the comics, it's completely different. Like, when I did the BBC New Act, I knew Marty a lot. And I didn't know everyone else in the room as well. But it was fun having a friend there who was like, oh, if I don't win, hopefully you win. And the same thing happened in like the Channel 4, the Sean Locke competition. Again, I was like surrounded even more this time with more people that I knew. And I was like, I don't mind losing this. I think competitions mean more when you're first starting off. And then as you get on, it doesn't really matter anymore. Because we look at them as they're like shortcuts to getting your foot in the door. So, yeah, they suck, but it's part of the parcel. But they're also not the be-all or end-all. And I think that goes for like reviews as well. They suck, but they suck if you have a bad one. Competitions suck if you have a bad one. If you win everything, they're class. If you get all the good reviews, they're class. Of course, and that's fine. But I think it's, again, coming to a point where you're like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because are you going to stop doing comedy after this? Is one bad review going to stop you? Or you didn't get to the semi-finals? Or you didn't win the final? Are you going to stop then? As long as you can go into everything knowing like, this might help me more, but it's not going to take anything away from me. But that's fucking hard, isn't it? That's so fucking hard. It's so easy to say. But trying to implement that into like your thinking is fucking so hard, man.
So having made that start in comedy then, through the competition and going to do those gigs, those clubs, how much was it what you kind of thought it would be to be performing live comedy? What surprises do you encounter? What expectations were upheld or dashed?
The higher it goes, the less scarier it is.
Mm.
You know, your first gigs, like the first 4 years, are some of the scariest gigs because you're absolutely nobody. No one cares who you are. Also, you're not that good. And you're doing gigs in pubs where the TV's on. And the audience is made up of men who want to watch the football, and they're all in their work gear. They don't want to look at you, and they won't look at you. And now you have to just perform to the back of their heads. And also, the material is terrible. Whereas, like, you know, doing a big gig in a room full of people who have paid 10 quid and are excited to be there, even though it seems daunting. If you're in a club, or if you're lucky to do like a theatre or something, just you're like, oh my god, if I die in front of all these people, they're supportive. So I heard who said it was Stephen Wright, I think, said comedy is done backwards because you do the hardest gigs when you're least experienced, and then you do the easiest gigs when you're most experienced. He said, like, open mics should take place in theatres, and theatre acts should be doing the open mics, you know? And it's true. It's like, it's an insane thing. So I think the audiences get nicer as you elevate. And that's not to say you can't eat shit and die in like good rooms. Of course you can, but it gets less scarier. Yeah. I think the barriers you put yourself, like, I know I'm going to have a good gig if I'm relaxed and like I'm being silly and I'm being a bit carefree. And then the more like importance I put on it, the less funny and more rigid I'll be. Like, the importance of being in the room and having fun with the audience and with your material. Trying hard not to make it feel like it's a job, you know?
Yeah.
Because it is. You're a fucking clown. Let's have a laugh, you know? And also you get to be silly to a bunch of strangers. And I don't know, the weird control you have in that room. And by being rigid of like, no, you got to do all these lines and it has to go this way. If it doesn't go this way, it's going to be terrible. Instead of being like, oh, fuck it. let's mess it up and play around with it and interact with people. And like, yeah, it's far more playful than it is rigid. And I guess the first few years gigging, you are just like, no, this is my script. I can't leave the script. These are the jokes and it has to go in this order. And then obviously as you get on, you're like, no, the more playful we are, the better. And that's not to be like, just go up and wing it. But a little bit of that is good, I think. Yeah. A little bit of looseness where you're not afraid to like, oh, we're going to go here. Okay, well, we'll just bring it back now. Oh, no, we're going to go there. Okay, yeah, you know, that's what people want. That's also where the magic comes from. Like you've seen so many people perform, man. You can tell when people are a bit dead behind the eyes. And it's just like, it is a performance at the end of the day. Even if you are doing it in a club, you know, to a bunch of builders who aren't going to read The Guardian, they still want the performance, man. And they deserve it, you know. That is sort of our job.
There is a sort of, I don't know, when you were saying about the importance you attribute to something. So like if you're going on stage, do you get that nervousness, that anxiety where every sideways glance or every wave of a hand could get a laugh or not, because you have full attention of the room, ideally. Do you get that sort of build up before you go on hands? Like, don't trip, don't stumble on the stage, this sort of thing. Is it a pressure in that sense?
I remember asking Rob Copland for some advice. His big advice was just like, be in the room. Be in the room. You just got to be in the room.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, as long as you know your material enough that you're able to be in the room. So you're able to like go dead behind the eyes, but you don't go dead behind the eyes and you're looking around. Because then as long as you know your material and you're in the room, it doesn't matter if you fall over.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you stumble, because then that's part of the performance.
Yeah.
And that is funny also. Like, we shouldn't take ourselves too serious as comics. Obviously, you want moments. You want to be able to build the tension, but then that comes into like being able to control the room. And especially where I'm at, whenever I go on stage, I don't have a following yet. So I'm like a substitute PE teacher. Or not a substitute PE teacher, but a substitute teacher. It's like these kids could turn on you. So how do I get them to like respect me, but also, you know, you want to be playful with them. You know, you have to command the respect of the room, but also you don't want to be labeled a prick. So, you know, I guess it's like, yeah, don't take yourselves too serious. You want to be likable. How do you do that? Have a bit of energy to you. Or if, you know, unless you want to be, I'm quite a dry comedian, so I use that to my advantage. You know, I'm never going to be the one bouncing on stage, leaping around. Like, it's just not me. I'm not going to be, hello, everybody. I'm going to be, all right, let's go, you know? But again, that's my energy.
Yeah.
And that's how I can, like, command people to fucking listen to me. It's like, all right, yeah. Also, the way you dress, everything is part of the performance, you know? And creating an expectation of what the audience is going to get from you. You know, if you wear a suit, it's going to be different to if you wear joggers, or if you wear a onesie, if you wear a tutu, you know, if you're wearing a vest, everything's going to be like, what's going on here, you know? And you can say so much without saying anything. Like you said, I'm like, you know, just standing in certain places, looking at certain things, you know, all sudden movements. So yeah, it's like, yeah, I do think about it more than I would let on, but not massively. You know, the performance is a big part of it, but I think a lot of it is just you have to play the room. So being in the room, you know, you can plan everything you want, but fuck, if you've got a stag do in the front row, or if something was just brought up that was like, you have to talk about it, or there's half the room is missing, you know, whatever it is, or if there's a noise that's going on, it's like you know, that wasn't in the script, but let's talk about it, I guess.
Well, what about what you said there earlier about this idea of getting dead behind the eyes? How do you keep yourself entertained, gig after gig after gig? What do you get to keep yourself amused and entertained? Do you keep jokes in, for example, that perhaps don't necessarily land with an audience? You just keep them in because you think, that's for me, that's the one extra for me? Or how else do you keep yourself amused?
My jokes are great, so I'm always... yeah, I don't know. I like to talk to the audience from time to time to keep it interesting and mix it up. If a joke's not going well, sometimes I'll reference it, but I feel like you have to give yourself a yellow card sometimes, because if you keep referencing it, you'll fuck up the gig. And I'm trying to get to a point where I look at every audience as a mixed ability audience.
Yeah.
You know, because they are. I watched Acaster do a work in progress at Angel of his recent show, and he started going in on like an audience member, and obviously he's at this time now, he's trying to be better. He's trying not to go at hecklers and all that, right? Like so on stage, you see this man who's clear. You see both sides of him. You see the lunatic who wants to shout at this lady for, I think, yawning. That's what she did. She yawned. And then you've also got this new Acaster who is like almost doing self-therapy on stage, being like, no, James, you can't talk. It's Monday. It's 6 p.m. on Monday. Most of these people have come straight from work, so they're either knackered or you know, they're hungry, and some people have probably rushed to dinner, so they're digesting it. So I thought it was fantastic because he explained what it is. It's like every audience, you've got 70 people in front of you. They're not all as into this as you are. You're into it because you've been writing and slaving away at making this amazing show. But the reality is, most audiences are made up of people who are going through heartbreak, who are going through grief, who've got debts, who've got maybe illnesses, who go through their entire life.
Yeah.
And also, it's the subjectivity of comedy. Some of them just aren't going to find you funny. Some of them are going to think you remind them of their ex. Some of them have just zoned out. Some of them have had a load of food and they're not thinking of anything, And I think trying to remember that helps me give a good performance and not go dead behind the eyes and so I don't take it so personal.
Yeah.
As, oh my God. Because otherwise, if a gig's not going well, you could just be like, oh, you don't like that one, do you? You don't like that. And we've all seen comics do that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, no, we are enjoying it. It's just, you're the last one on tonight. It's been a long night of comedy. It's like, just because we're not all slapping our knees and going, you're the funniest in the world. It's like, just do your fucking shit, man. Chill out. Sometimes I think comics were very sensitive, of course. Because it's embarrassing if you're not getting the response you want or the response you expect. Sometimes you just got to go, who gives a fuck? Who cares, man? Maybe people are having a really good time, but maybe they're all just very quietly muttering. But yeah, I guess it's a mindset thing. But sometimes I'll talk to the audience. Sometimes, I'll just try and not. I'm trying not to just do the hacky thing of, oh, you didn't like that one. Oh, we've just got so much longer left to go. And again, it's because I've seen so many other people do it. So I'm like,
yeah.
Also, sitting in silence ain't the worst thing. It's not. And I think I'm quite lucky because, again, I'm not high energy. So even if I was dying on my ass or I'm smashing the gig, my vibe is always going to be the same. If I can lean against the wall at the back, I'm going to lean against the wall at the back. Whereas if it'd be interesting to see Michael McIntyre die on his ass. Like, does he keep that energy? Does he skip around the audience even if he's getting nothing? Whereas me, I can just slump over and no one knows. They're just like, oh, he's still just doing his stuff. So. Well,
you've mentioned some names there, people that you've watched doing comedy, and so how is it for you now to watch other people do comedy? How is comedy for you as an entertainment for you to go and see and sit down and watch? Are you analytical of it now? Do you see the way you would perform that joke, or can you just sit there and be entertained and just watch comedy and find it amusing in itself?
I mean, yeah, it's like when I was watching the SNL, the Paddy Young and what's her name?
Anya Maliano.
They were doing the Weekend Update.
Yeah. The
first one, because I think everyone at the Gaff in Bristol, we stayed behind to watch it. Because that's like the closest bit to stand-up is their little segment. And yeah, you're trying to see where they're going with this. Where's the angle? Where's the angle? Where's the angle? Which isn't as fun as just turning your brain off and just going, just let them do the fucking thing.
Yeah.
So I think, again, I have to be conscious of it. Because initially, I'm just like, okay, where's the punchline coming? Where's that? Where's that? Where's that? It is hard for me to just go, right, you're just going to listen and not try and jump to the end and see where it's going. Where's the callback? I bet that's going to be the callback. But I find myself doing that with movies now. If someone references like, oh yeah, a gun, you're like, oh, okay, well that gun's coming back, or why did she tell us about her sister? We haven't seen the sister. It's almost, we've got 20 minutes left. The sister's got to come in the show, right? So I don't know if it's just me being a comedian or if it's just in general. The way I look at art is like, instead of just enjoying the moment, I'm very much like, where's this going to go? Yeah. Where's this going to go? So yeah, it is hard for me to just watch stand up, but that's why I like, do you know Dan Raff? Of course you know Dan Raff. Like him, Dan Raff is perfect for me because he's like a little machine gun, isn't he? Of just absurd, wild shit, which you won't. You haven't got enough time to try and figure out where he's going with it before it's over. So it's perfect. It's like he is just like a bunch of reels where you're just like, what the fuck was that? Okay, we're on to the next one.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah. I guess what I'm trying to say is like long form stuff, I'm always trying to I find it hard to just be like, okay, just sit in it and allow them to perform. Whereas if it's short, it's quick. So I don't have time to, I'm allowed to let it wash over me. But I think that says more about my ADHD, Instagram addicted brain than it does anyone's actual art, you know?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your Fringe experience then. Let's talk about what the Edinburgh Fringe means to you, because this year, 2026, you're taking your debut show, Grog,
Yes.
up to Monkey Barrel.
Yeah, man.
We'll talk about the show in itself, but what about your broader Fringe experience? Because I know that you've done Fringe before. You've done a 3-way split and you've done a 2-way split on previous times.
Yeah.
How has your initial experiences of the Edinburgh Fringe set you up for what Fringe means, and how has your experiences since, and what are you looking forward to this year?
Yeah, I hate the Fringe, I'll be honest. Actually, the Fringe has got better every year I've gone up. Really, like the first year I went up was 2019, I think. 2018, I did a split bill, 3-way split bill. Me, June Tuesday, Alex Perks, and Charlie Bowers, and Charlie and Alex like did a week and a half each, and we did it at the Brass Monkey at 12:45, and yeah. We would open the doors and they would be bleaching the room. So like, you know, the room would stink of bleach. It was in like the cinema room where there's no seats. Everyone has to lie down. Yeah. I think of the 25 days, we only ended up performing maybe 15, 18, because it was too early in the morning. No one really wanted to come watch Three Nobodies, you know, on beds while smelling bleach. It's, you know, it's insane, but it was very good because, like, you know, it was everyone's first Fringe. You performed to 3 people, you know. Again, it's getting used to performing to silence and comfortable in like nothing, and it forces you to pace yourself. It's like, you got to be up here for 20 minutes, you know. Don't rush. If you say everything, then you still got to ramble for another 10 minutes, you know. So looking back, but at the time, I fucking hated it. I hated flyering. I still hate flyering. Anyway, so that happened. Then a couple of years ago, me and Sandro Ford went up and did a split bill at Globe Bar, is it? Boxing bar. Again, free Fringe stuff. Yeah. There's a curtain. There's a rowdy pub, you know, you're up against it. But this time we only had to cancel, I think, 3 gigs for the whole month, which is great. Also, I got to do longer. I was more comfortable. I did it with my mate Sandro, who's like an internet superstar now. And he's just like, yeah, a funner time, but still having to flyer, just hating. I cannot stand flyering. It makes me so sad as well. And you're about to do something that you like so much, and people are like, "Oh yeah, but you got to sell yourself." I'm not good at selling myself. I remember giving a flyer to one person. And they said, "Oh, is this you?" And I went, "Yeah." And they went, "Are you funny?" And I went, "Just come and show. Just come. Just come and find out." You know. Yes, I'm going to be funny.
We'll find out together.
Yeah, it's just like Christ. But again, you know. It was good for, you know, just getting stage time and, again, becoming a stronger comic, having to deal with issues, you know, the ego. I don't think I have a big ego, but over those 2 times, it gets pulverized to the point where you're like, okay, do you still want to do this? Okay. And then last year I went up and I did a whip in the Apex Hotel for Hoots. For like, I think a week, or just over a week, I think. And that was the best one. It was super fun as well, because it was just like, I didn't flyer. I didn't flyer at all. I think I managed to jump on one of those like 5 headliners for a tenner gigs, which that's how I want to flyer. Yeah. I want to do 10 minutes to a bunch of strangers that I didn't have to get into a room. And then at the end, I can flyer them, because then I can just be like, right, you saw 10 minutes. You either like me or you don't. Take a flyer. And that's, luckily, I think I'm on them this year as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, that's how I'll flyer.
Yeah.
Come see the goods, have a sample, and then, maybe buy the product later, which is great. But yeah, I got to do like a whip, which was, there was no pressure. That was what I loved about it last year. Like the other 2 times, there was pressure of like, oh, we need to make money. This time I was going up. I knew I wasn't trying to like sell out a room. I was just like, let's figure out how to be on stage for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I can bring my notes up. I can dick around. Mm-hmm. I can just, I can be artistically free, and I only had to cancel 1 gig, which was, an improvement every year. It's got better and better and better. I definitely lost money every year, I think, which, is part of the game. But this year, I'm hoping I go up with a show that I'm proud of, and I leave with a show that I'm more proud of, and I don't have to cancel any gigs. That's literally what I'm looking for. And I think, being in Monkey Barrel, that should be okay, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for this one. Very nervous though, because like I said, last year it was so fun and free, and it doesn't matter. Whereas this year it's very much, debuting in a good room. I've paid for PR. I've paid for all this stuff. This is it again. You gotta make it work. This is your time to like make a career. And again, I have to keep catching myself and go, yeah, but it doesn't matter. I have to keep telling myself, I could have the worst fringe ever. Okay? Hypothetically, if I have the worst fringe ever, am I going to stop doing comedy? If the answer is no, then it doesn't matter then. But again, I still want to have a good fringe,
Yeah.
It's like we talked about the competitive nature with myself, holding yourself to a standard where it's like, I want to show that I'm good. I want to show that I can do an hour.
Yeah.
It's not going to be everyone's favorite. Of course, that's fine. But I want people to be like, oh, this is decent. He's a good stand-up,
Yeah.
And I guess that's the scary thing of like, how do you measure that? And how do you fail? And how to not fail that, It's like, but again, it's all fucking in your head, really. It is. So, yeah, I'm excited, but I'm shitting myself at the same time. But I'm excited.
Yeah. Does that thing, the debut hour, does that word debut, like, is that a millstone around your neck, or is it something you can sort of
little bit?
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit, just because everyone goes, because at the beginning of this year, I was like, shh. So I do a podcast with a comic called Emma Hughes called Has It Got Legs? And it's her going through a box of all my old jokes and telling me whether they should go into my debut hour. Okay. We started this podcast last year, I think just after Edinburgh. So like September, October time. And so the whole point of the podcast is build into my first hour.
Yeah.
In January, I was having serious doubts of whether or not I would do the hour, because I got into like the business mindedness of it. I was like, oh, well, you only get to debut once. And also, are you good enough yet? Will you be able to do the hour? I thought maybe I'm rushing it. I thought maybe I've left it too late. Maybe I should have debuted after, winning the BBC New Act competition. There was all this like just doubt and insecurity and worry, and just like not wanting to make the wrong step forward, just being like, what about if I do this and then it all comes crumbling down? Or, you're trying to figure out your path and you don't want to mess it up.
Yeah.
And luckily, Emma convinced me, and a few other people convinced me, so just fucking do it. And also, like, you're good enough to do it, so do it. But it is that's how comedy has felt, I think, for a while, is like not wanting to make the wrong move in case it all comes crumbling down, when in reality, I don't think one wrong move in the sense of like debuting or this, it could like crumble your career. But again, because I'm you just want to have a nice path where you like ascend and you don't want to fucking fall off, you know? So, but again, no one tells you how to do it apart from Emma Hughes. Shit. You know?
So what is the show? What is it all about? What can people expect to come to see you?
Oh, this is the hardest part, I think. I think what I've realized so far is a lot about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really want there to be like it's not a sad show, you know. I guess the theme is just my relationships with where I come from in the South Wales Valleys, moving to Bristol, an ex-girlfriend of mine, a relationship I'm in now, my relationship with my landlord, my relationship with God and religion a little bit. And this all sounds more intense than it is.
This is a comedy show, right?
Yeah, it's a comedy show. But that's what I figured out. A lot of it is just like bits that I've obviously been working on for a while. And yeah, I guess the through line is like my relationship with it.
Yeah.
So my relationship with the place I live, my relationship with the place I grew up, my relationship with like, you know, mental health to a degree. But again, not in this like heavy way.
Yeah.
It's in a very playful and observational way. You're going to look at me and be like, he's a bit of a fucking odd boy. I wonder what his take on religion is, you know? So it's like that. Here's my take on middle-class hipsters in Bristol. There you go, you know? So it's a lot of that. But yeah, it's fun though. I'm quite excited. It's also, I am trying to do the fucking Edinburgh bit where, you know, because you know, on the podcast, we've started having like comics come on and give advice about their debut. So we've had Joey Page and we've had Chris MacArthur-Boyd so far. We're hoping to get some more in the future. And Joey told me, remember to have fun. You're debuting. So like, you won't be able to debut again. And that's scary, but also you won't be able to do it again. So like, enjoy it, like have fun, which is great advice. And Christopher told me, you don't have to be sad, but there has to be a gear change around the 40-minute mark.
Yeah.
And when he said that, I was like, oh, that's brilliant. And I forget who he referenced. He referenced a female comic. I think she's a Scottish female comic. And she said she, at the 40-minute mark, started talking about nuclear bunkers. And he was like, she didn't have to talk about a dead dad or, you know, whatever. But it was enough of a gear change where it keeps the audience intrigued and stuff. And when he told me that like lifted a weight off my shoulders. Because I thought it was like, you have to fucking just be a sad boy around the 45-minute mark. And I don't want that. But there is a gear change and it's quite exciting to have that and explore that, I guess. Because I was raised on like American stand-ups a lot. You know, and there's feels bits. It's just, here's a bit, here's another 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 bit, which I feel my show is. But then at the end, there is a bit of a story, I guess. There's a gear change.
Yeah. We need that third act, don't you?
There you go. But this is the thing. I don't know, man. I went to my drama lessons, but I didn't like listen. This is what's great about Emma. Emma, she's got a degree in dramaturgy, is it?
Sure.
And I didn't know what that was. Is that a thing?
Dramaturgy. Yeah.
Dramaturgy. It's mental because like she's reading these half-baked ideas, but she also has a good head on her shoulder for like creating a show, I guess. Even though she's never really done a show herself, but you know, it's the blind leading the blind, but it's working. So yeah, that's the show really. My relationships with certain things and my weird. Have you thought about it like this? Have you thought about that? Yeah, you just get to look inside my brain for an hour, and it's not that scary. You know, it's odd, it's weird, it's dry. Yeah, it's an odd hour. Yeah, it's fun.
So, from the perspective of your brain, then,
right.
Where are you the most comfortable? Where is your brain happiest? In the writing process, if you're emceeing your gigs like in Bristol, or performing long form, or doing a 10 or 15 on a mixed bill, where are you at your happiest?
Oh, you do a 10 or a 15, that's a nice place to be, isn't it? I don't know, man. When there's a nice audience, I don't get. If there's a nice audience, that's all you really want. An audience who the bar isn't too high and they're patient, they'll get the best gigs. Because again, the comics will be relaxed. If you get a hostile audience, or just people who are too drunk or whatever, it's not going to be as fun. When everyone's relaxed and just like we're just gonna let them talk and trust them, then you're magic, man. That's something else. So, but yeah, I don't know. I just like being on stage when the audiences are like that, when you can be playful with them. Which most audiences, I think, are. Yeah. I don't know. They're more good audiences than bad audiences.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't really have a favorite. I prefer to perform than MC, but I always end up using bits of like maybe MCing and crowd. Like I like crowd work as well, but yeah, I don't know. You don't get the same gratification from crowd work as you do joke you've actually written go well. Yeah. Even though crowd work is more magic, isn't it? Like audiences lose their shit to crowd work. Like especially someone who's never seen crowd work, it is magic.
Because it feels personal. That's people talk about relatable material, but it's nothing more relatable than a conversation happening live.
Yeah, and you're just there, and you're just like, he just called him a twat.
Well, it could be quite a simplistic conversation for sure, but yeah, nothing too highbrow.
Do you think crowd work is like? Do you think people laugh at it and react to it more because there's a higher, the tension in the room gets squeezed quicker than someone like just doing a long 5-minute bit? Do you think because they're like, oh fuck, they're talking to people in the audience now, everyone's just sort of like, ooh, how are you going to get out of this?
Possibly. There is an element of that. There's always that element of breaking the tension. You build the tension and you break the tension, subverting something that you've set up. There is that, I think. But also it's what you said about being in the room. You're protected because you're surrounded with the rest of the audience. You're not an individual, you're an audience. So when someone else is being part of that conversation, you're distanced from it, but you're there, you're an eyewitness kind of thing. So some of it might be the tension, some of it might not be, but some of it is about that, again, being in the room, that immediacy, that directness. This is happening now to us. It won't happen tomorrow. It's an exclusive, if you like. I once saw Ivo Graham, and he was headlining, doing 20 minutes, and an audience member did one throwaway comment right at the top, and he picked that sentence and riffed on that for 20 minutes. And that's unique to that event. Yeah. Because even as much as he might have prepared crowd work in his head, that sentence won't happen word for word tomorrow or the next day or next year. That won't be on the tour. That's ours. Yeah. It's kind of, I've forgotten what the question was.
No. I was just asking, do you think the tension that crowd work creates? I don't fucking know. Something about tension. I
think tension crowd work is just tension is an element. It's a surprise, isn't it? Comedy is about building something up. Build something up. You build up a setting. You build up a sentiment. You build up tension, and then you release it with an off-the-cuff remark or a throwaway twist or something like that. So yeah, there is an.
This is the thing that scares me. Is I feel like I'm about to debut and I don't know anything about comedy. When people are asking me even about what's the show about, I'm like, oh, I know. Or people are like, let's talk about comedy, and I'm like, oh, fucking, we build tension, do we? Or fucking, I feel like I've heard these things on podcasts and other comedians, more successful comedians have talked about it, but I'm like, I don't think about any of this shit when I'm writing or when I think of fun. I'm just trying to be funny. I know that sounds very basic, but it's yeah, that's the scary part of doing a show, I think. Is going from, you're just trying to be, stand-up was always just be funny for 7 minutes, be funny for 10 minutes, be funny for 20 minutes, be funny for 30 minutes. And now it's a show. And I'm like, I just like the funny bits, But
the funny bits are important.
But yeah, it has been fun trying to build whatever the show is.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out together.
Yeah.
And that's a callback.
Yeah.
So what then, so far, do you think have been the best and worst experiences you've had through comedy, through being a comedian?
Ooh, this is a hard one. Best experiences. You know, the best is probably like being able to go. I'm at a stage now where the best is whenever someone asks you to do a gig, like whether it's short notice or whether it's like way in advance. Whenever someone like comes and goes, I want you to close my gig or be part of my gig, nothing gets me more excited than that. Especially when it's like paid stuff. You're just like, oh, that's class, because it's proof that you're decent. You're right to have a go, and you are worth. It's validation, I guess. Especially because for most of comedy, you're trying to get gigs, and you're getting ignored, or people just don't think you're funny. So when people start like asking you to come and do the gigs, it's the best. It's the best in the world. Also, I'm very lazy, so someone going, "Hey, come do this job for me," I'm like, yeah. So that's probably the best feeling, I guess. Worst feeling, dying. That's also one of the best feelings. Learning how to die on stage. And I'm not saying like, I don't think anyone ever becomes like bulletproof to it. But when you get to a point where, like I said, my first ever gig, I was shaking like a shitting dog and I was looking for the exit. Now I can eat shit for 20 minutes and it'll suck. And I don't want to, but it's a weird skill, Yeah. Like, how do you write that on your CV? It's like, you could put me in a really awkward position and I'll be able to take it. I'll be able to carry on. I'll talk my way through this. I won't talk my way out of it, but I'll talk my way through this.
With a, let's say, inauspicious start at the Chortle Student Comedy Awards, now, this year, you are a Chortle Hotshot winner.
Yeah. So, it's fun. What's funny about Chortle as well is like, it has so much power on comics. And I think it's because it's like everyone's first entry into like understanding. How am I trying to say this? It's like it's Chortle, isn't it? It's pretty much, it's for comics and up and coming comics and like super fans, really, isn't it? Like that's what reads it and stuff. And because they're the only ones who do a nationwide student competition that gets everyone who's budding young comic ends up reading it. And the fact that that's for students as well. So it's sort of like a class thing, right? Automatically, like there's some comics who would have just started by doing open mics, and if you're in a big city, you'll do that. But if you're a uni student who's starting out in comedy, like I was, this has weight to it. These are the most important up and coming comics. These are the stars of the future and all this blah, 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 blah. Because there's loads of people there's more successful people who've lost than have won, right? Yeah. Also lots of successful winners. But what I'm trying to say is Chortle has this fucking grip, I think, or had a grip on me as well. He's seen my first ever gig and, he's seen me do well. He's seen me do shit. He's given me good reviews. He's given me bad reviews. And one of the reasons I think I'm able to like look quite healthily at comedy and try not to be like this green-eyed monster and put so much pressure and spiral is because I'm lucky that I've done it all in front of Chortle. Yeah. This big reviewer who he's seen me die on my ass. He's also thought I was one of the best on a night, and then you quickly realize, oh yeah, that guy is just a dude. He has some power, but he's also just a dude with an opinion, and that's cool. And he's helped me. He's also hindered me to a degree, but also ultimately he's done more good for me than bad. And I feel like that's everything in comedy. So when I'm worried about, what's the right step now? It's like, don't worry about the step too much. Just take a step. And if it's wrong, you can walk back or you can take a step left or right and, spin around. And it's taken me, I'm like 9 years since my first ever gig of having like that mindset again. it slips away from time to time, but I have to keep reminding myself, like, don't worry too much. You know, it's okay to fail. It's okay to win or succeed, but that's not everything as well. It's just like, just keep taking the steps, you know? But yeah, it's very nice, but it's also, but yeah, Chortle has helped me a lot in the fact that terrible shit has happened for me there. Lovely things. Like, and that's a good way of looking at it, I think. Even when you have like a really good gig and then you have a really bad gig and you're just like, oh yeah, we're, what did I say earlier? Mixed ability. Everything's mixed ability, you know? Even me, my performance is mixed ability. Some days you're going to be 5 out of 5. Some days you're going to be fucking trash. And that's okay. As long as you're trying to keep getting a bit better and you're working on it, I think it's going to be okay. But I just have to remind myself that a lot.
So how can people find out all about you and where they can see you performing?
You can find me on Instagram at a cat named Peaches, all one word. Yeah. So many people have said, why don't you change that to like Paul Hilliard's comedy? And I'm like, no, if they're real fans, if they want to follow me, they'll find me. Because you can also just type Paul Hilleard into Google and like I'm pretty sure everything will come up. I'll be at Secret Comedy Club in Brighton from the 25th to the 31st of May. Right. 6:30 every day. I've got a podcast with 2 other comics as well called the Union of Scum podcast. And that's essentially it's like the rest is history podcast, but if all they read were Take a Break magazines, and like, okay. So we talk about like the scummier elements of British culture past. And so like we're talking about Big Brother winners and football hooligans, stuff like that, you know. Yeah. The things that make you proud to be British. So that's called the Union of Scum podcast. I'm going to make a website soon as well. So hopefully by the time this is out, the website will be out. So I think that'll be like paulhilliardcomedy.com, or again, just type Paul Hilleard into Google.
So my last question then, of course, is the same as always. Paul, how would you sum up comedy in a nutshell?
Oh, it's a slog, man. It's a slog. That's what comedy is. It's a slog. I'm in it right now. I'm swimming against the tide. There's debris coming down, but it's a good time as well. Yeah, it's all right, but it's a slog, isn't it? Ask me again. Maybe we can do this again in a year or two, and we can recap everything I said. Yeah, and I'll be able to tell you it was all bollocks. He was talking absolute shit.
Paul, thank you so much for being my guest. It's been a genuine pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.